Hello, everyone. My name is Wheeler Winstead, and we're going to go ahead and begin our information session. And I hope all of you can hear me. Can everyone hear? Okay. If you can, you just click on.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Everyone can hear. Wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. And what I would like is, as we move forward, if you could please mute yourself so that it doesn't interfere with the presentation. There will be lots of time for question and answers. So if you have a question while we're going on, if you don't want to forget about it, you can simply put it in the chat box, or you could hold until the point where we have question and answer. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and begin. So again, this is a session on information session on FLAS, Foreign Language and Area Studies. As I mentioned, please mute your mic and put your questions in the chat box, and we'll have a chance to do that when we get near the end. So first thing I want to do is just share a little bit about the Center for African Studies, FLAS program, the types and the requirements, the application process, and then we will share a little about the language programs that are offered here at Howard. So the Center for African Studies, we are a comprehensive Title VI National Resource Center funded by the Department of Education. So that's important to understand, that you understand that all of our regulations come directly from the Department of Education, and they are not simply our own, but they are Department of Education regulations. I'm sorry. We support African-related training and research, and we provide FLAS Fellowships, again, FLAS, Foreign Language and Area Study Fellowships, for both the academic and the summer programs in the form of tuition and stipend. So the website address at the end of the slide here really is very helpful for you, because you can go there and it's going to have a lot of the detailed information that you see we're going to be talking about now. As a matter of fact, this particular PowerPoint will be available on the website after we are done. All right, let's go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about simply today, the summer application. The summer application was actually opened in November, and it closes on February the 18th at 5 p.m. So please be aware of that. It is possible that we may, in fact, extend that date, but right now it closes on February 18th at 5 p.m. Howard University offers 7 African languages that you can study: Amharic, Arabic, Somali, Swahili, Wolof, and Yoruba. These are the 7 African languages that you will be applying for to study with your FLAS Fellowship. So the FLAS Fellowship that you will get is a funding source. The FLAS program we do not offer programs. So you have to find a qualified program, and you can use our FLAS funding to attend those particular programs. We will be talking about some of those, at least Howard-based programs at the end, but it's important for you to understand that this is a funding source. The student must choose the institution and the program, and we provide fundings for both the summer and the academic year for both graduate and undergraduate students. Okay. So for the summer, and we're specifically thinking about this summer, we have available $5,000 in tuition fees and $2,500 for living expenses that you can use for the summer. So what are the general requirements? One, there has to be a promise of completing your academic program. So in other words, you have to be enrolled in school. Often the question comes is, well, I'm graduating in May. Can I use the flask? No, you cannot. So you have to be in an academic program and have promise of completing an academic program. If you're graduating in December, that's different. But if you are graduating in May, you will not be able to use this funding. You have to be able to plan to utilize the FLAS in your training and your professional career. This is important because you've got to talk about when you, in fact, do your application, you must indicate somehow you're going to use the FLAS for in that way. If you do not mention that, then you will not actually score well in your application. You've got to have an excellent academic record as evidenced by your GPA. You've got to have letters of recommendation, and you got to show a need. So let's say you already have a $10,000 scholarship from somewhere else to study an African language this summer. You will not qualify for a FLAS. So the idea is that you've got to have a need for the money, and that we are going to prioritize individuals who have the greatest need first. And that's based on the requirements and the determined by the Department of Education. And we are committed to following those particular regulations because of the fact that we received the funding. And it also means that we will do follow-up surveys with you, again, at the request and requirements of the Department of Education, who is funding us. So this last requirement, I want to make sure everyone really hears me clearly on this, because it is often something that we have questions about. By the way, is there a minimum GPA? Basically, you've got to be, there is a minimum GPA after you get it. You cannot fall below a 2.5. So we haven't set a minimum GPA for qualifying, specifically if a person is a good student. However, once you get the FLAS, if you are failing, then that basically says that you don't have a good potential for completing if you're failing a particular semester. So then you could, in fact, lose your FLAS fellowship. So let me go to this next slide, which is really critical for everyone to understand. And that is, it is to be qualified for a FLAS, you have to be, if you're an undergraduate, you must be at the intermediate or advanced stage of studying the language you are interested in studying, which means that if you have never studied an African language and you are thinking about applying for a FLAS, you will not qualify. The regulations are very clear that you must be at an intermediate or advanced level. So if you have already taken, or if you are taking an African language, either one of those 7 languages that I have mentioned this year, this semester, you would qualify. If you haven't taken those, you will not qualify. Now there is really only one exception, and that exception is for graduate students. So a graduate student can qualify if they're in pre-dissertation level study, preparation for dissertation research, as you can see listed here, dissertation research abroad, dissertation writing, or if they have achieved advanced proficiency in another language of world specialization, and if learning a second language of that world area is required for the student's overall training and expertise. So these are the only exceptions There are no exceptions for undergraduate students. There are only exceptions for graduate students. And actually, because of the importance of this, I'll just stop and ask, are there any questions so far on this particular eligibility requirement? Any questions? Yes.
So on the application, it has like two options of if you're like a first or second year in the first or second year classes, or if you're advanced. So does the first or second year count as advanced?
First and second year counts as intermediate.
Okay, okay. And that, but does that also count for the application? Does that qualify us?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
So if we're categorized as intermediate, can we still apply?
Yes, yes. You have to at least already been have at least one semester of the language, and that will qualify you as the intermediate level. If you've had a full year or a year and a half, you would be at really an advanced level. Okay, but that's there's no getting around this. This is the only way they're going to allow it. Yes, someone else has a question? Okay, let's keep on going. So for the summer, you must choose your own program. The FLAS funds will be used to pay for the program costs. You can have a program either domestically, in other words, US based or overseas, or both. All overseas travel must be approved by the Department of Education, and you must receive grades and credit for the language course. Okay, again, you choose the program. We're going to talk about some programs that Howard offers. The money, the FLAS, will pay for the program costs. The program could either be domestic or overseas. Overseas programs must be approved, and there are a number that already are approved. You must receive a grade and credit. Okay? The summer programs also must be considered intensive. So basically, the summer program is really one full academic year condensed in the summer. So you've got to have at least 6 weeks. They have to be at least 6 weeks in duration, offer at least 120 contact hours of instruction. That's for the students at the advanced level, and at least 140 contact hours for students at the beginning level. And contact hours are not, let me just go back here. So when we mean contact hours, we mean hours where you are learning the language. Now, it can be that you can be doing that while you're out in the field. You can be in a lot of times they include trips to the village, if this is study abroad, time with the family. However, it's not simply excursions. If this is simply an excursion, it will not qualify. You've got to have at least 120 contact hours. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't include an excursion. It means you must have at least this number of contact hours as a part of the program. So everyone understands we're in a COVID environment. There is some uncertainty about travel abroad. So you need to be flexible. As it says here, FLAS funding to attend programs abroad summer 2022 will depend on developments in the coming months and subject to the guidance from the Department of Education. So we check that on a regular basis. Certain countries are closed right now. Certain countries are open. Right now, you can travel. However, there are some countries that the Department of Education will not approve travel to at this time. So we've got to, and you must check if there are travel restrictions placed by the Department of Education. And again, there are certain kinds of restrictions. There are security restrictions, and then there are health restrictions. So you've got to look at both of those. Security restrictions basically are restrictions that are based on your own security and whether there is conflict that may cause a problem of security and safety for you. Again, in terms of contact hours, you can achieve those by one program, or you can even combine programs. Some people ask, well, can we use private tutoring? Yes, however, it must be approved. You must submit a syllabus for the tutoring. There's a whole step in getting and having that approved. It's not impossible, but it is, you're going to have to prove that this is in fact a tutoring situation and not getting together and just simply, having fun. So the application process is all online. This is where you access it, or you can go to this website directly yourself. It's all online, and I'm going to walk through the application process now. Well, first, in terms of the application, these are the things you've got to have. It does require a statement of purpose. So why are you interested in getting a FLAS? You've got to talk about, and you must include, you should include, if you want to have a strong statement and be considered, how the FLAS award will contribute to your work and your concentration, your research, your professional study, your career aspirations, and provide a strong statement in that regard. So if you have, and at least this last bullet is there because sometimes people apply for both a summer and an academic fellowship. So they are two separate applications. You can use much of the same information, but you must supply two different statement of purposes. But just staying with the summer application, you've got to you must describe how the FLAS award will contribute to your work and your concentration, your research, or your professional study or career aspirations. You got to also provide two references. So if you're going to provide a reference, you need to contact them ahead of time saying, Professor so-and-so, you need to, you're going to be asked to provide a reference. Please make sure you complete the reference email when you receive it, because you will have to give the reference referees email address. We will send a notice to them directly, and they will include their reference directly in the website. Okay? And if you can just hold on just 1 minute, please. I'm gonna close my door. Okay, any questions so far? Is that clear so far for everyone? All right, let's keep on going. So let's say you got your FLAS fellowship. And let's say for some reason you had to withdraw from the program. You will be either required to prorate the amount that you prorate your fellowship based on how much time you spent, or you may be asked to actually repay it. So you must contact us if for some reason you have to withdraw, resign from the program. Now, this normally happens for the academic year. It doesn't usually happen for the summer, but we want people to understand that if you are provided funding, including their stipend, let's say you signed up for this program You're going to go study Swahili and at Howard. Uh, 1 month into the program, you decide you're not going to do it anymore. We've already sent you a stipend of $2,500. You're going to have to either repay most of that or all of it. So be aware that you can't simply get the money and then say, oh, I decided I don't want to do this anymore. So here's the registration process. Pretty simple, but you need to be clear about it so that you can be successful at it. The first thing you must do when you go onto the site, you've got to register. So you're going to register your email address and you're going to get a password. And that's the first thing you have to do. You have to go in and register. Reason you have to register is that it allows you to go back into the program if you do not complete your application at one time. And also, if you are in fact awarded a FLAS fellowship, you will have to go and add a different information in terms of just completing your application process. Okay, so you go in, you log in, first time you register, and then you log in. Now, if you already have received a FLAS, you won't have to register again. Well, so this is for individuals who have not received a FLAS. After you receive the FLAS, after you've logged in, you got to choose a program in which you're going to apply. So there will be a list of programs that in the drop-down list of programs you can apply for. And basically you're going to only, well, you might see two. You might see academic year, and that's for individuals who actually are already there. If you have not filled out that you won't even be able to get into that. Or you're going to see FLAS Summer Fellowship. For you who are applying for the summer, you choose FLAS Summer Fellowship, okay? And then once you do that, you will be able, if you have been deemed eligible. So let me just pause there. There are two basic questions that they're going to ask you. One, are you a student? And two, are you going to attend a program with at least 120 hours? If you say no to one of those, you will not be deemed eligible. Okay, you won't even get to this far. So we've got to ensure that you're eligible. Once you're eligible, then you complete this information. You got to give information about the program, about the language, and then there's some other documents that you've got to submit. Again, if you're deemed ineligible, sometimes you click the wrong button by mistake. You won't be able to submit your application. You simply contact me. I can change that. I am the program administrator, but you will have to contact me in order to reverse that if you, by an error, click the wrong button. So once you start your application, you don't have to complete it all at one time. You can save it as a draft. Then when you're ready to come in and finalize it, you go back in, you click edit, and you can continue to complete your application. And all incomplete applications are saved as a draft, and all mandatory fields must be completed in order for the application to be considered final. If the referrers or those who are chosen to give you a reference have not submitted their reference letter, then your application will not be considered as final. There are occasions when we will move forward to evaluate an application. For example, let's say one of the persons did not complete or submit their reference, then we will continue to allow the person to, we will continue to review. However, you want to encourage those who are going to be your references to complete their reference and do it on time. So if there's any other information, then simply contact me. However, I just really recommend that you go to our website. If you go to our website, it has great information. All of this information is on our website. And if there's some question that you have that's not answered by the website, feel free to contact me and I will help you. So before I go on to the other programs and explain the Howard programs, let me just stop the PowerPoint here and take any questions that you might have. Anybody have any questions about Flask? You can either speak up or you can type it in the chat. Any questions from anyone? You understand the requirements? It's for the summer, 120 hours. You got to be in an intermediate or advanced unless you're a graduate student. Yes, is that?
I was wondering if the PowerPoint could be shared with us or if there was anywhere to find it.
Yes, this PowerPoint is actually will be on the website. You go to the website, we'll post a PowerPoint, it'll be there. As a matter of fact, even I think the recording will also be there. But this will be there before the end of the day. Yes, Kaylin?
Yes, I was wondering, the 500 word count for the statement of purpose, is that like strict or we can't go over that?
You can go
Or-
over that. It's a
Okay.
500 word minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And again, February 18th, 5 o'clock. So you have a little time, a little bit more than, well, three weeks. Anybody else have a question? Let's say it might be exactly 3 weeks here. Now I'm thinking about it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a little bit more than 3 weeks. 3 weeks and 1 day. Anybody else have a question? We're going to go on now to the other programs that you can apply for. Now, let me just explain. You have to apply to get the money. Then you've also got to apply for a program. You do them simultaneously because when you apply for the money, we're going to ask what program are you going to apply to use this money. So you need to do them basically at the same time. You got to apply for the program. You got to apply for the money. And so that's something, because you will be asked, what program are you applying for? How much does it cost? What are some of the deadlines? Where's the what language are you going to take? How many contact hours? So you're going to be asked to give that information about the program. Okay, no other questions. Let's go back now to the PowerPoint. And we're going to talk about some of the programs that Howard offers that you can use your FLAS for. And we obviously want to encourage you to do that. Okay. So Howard has, at the moment, 4 different programs that you can use your FLAS for. 3 of them are abroad and 1 is here. So first is the Howard University Swahili Study Abroad program, or the HUSA program. The other one is the Howard University Summer African Language Institute, and that's a program or an institute that is online, has been at least last year. It may be hybrid this year, and it's here. It's here in the US at Howard on campus. And the third one is the Swahili GPA. This is a very interesting, actually the GPA, both GPAs, you cannot use the FLAS for, because the GPA program, if you qualify, that program provides all the money for you. And both the Swahili GPA and the Yoruba GPA, that program supplies, the money comes with it. However, these are national competition programs. So you're not just simply competing with Howard students, you're competing with students across the United States. All right, that's the big difference. The first 2 don't have money associated with it. You can use your FLAS with it. The last 2 have money associated with them. If you qualify, you get money. You will have to come up with a small portion of your own money. However, most of the money is provided. So let's go through it. So the HUSA is in fact an intensive program. It was designed, by the way, so that it qualifies as one of the FLAS program. It is already qualified as a FLAS program, intensive community-based Swahili language cultural program designed to enhance your language proficiency, provide and promote language and understanding of East Africa in a global context through Swahili language and immersion. And right now it operates in Tanzania and Kenya, open to current students in all Howard University and to other non-Howard University students. Okay, so it's open to both Howard University and to others. However, I know there is a preference that's given to Howard University students. What's the goals of the program? Enhance your language proficiency and skill through total immersion. So the total immersion idea is you're going to be speaking Swahili all day. Okay, you're going to be in Tanzania or Kenya, depending on where the program is going to operate. You're going to be sleeping and eating Swahili. That's why you're going to get it. It's hands-on exposure to African art and crafts. You're going to use Swahili language with the local people on a daily basis. You're going to be engaged in culture and educational excursions. So these are excursions. However, you're going to be talking and learning Swahili during the time. You're going to tour and enjoy the rich culture, historic islands of Zanzibar. This is really, really exciting. It's, I think they're doing a Zanzibar actually film festival, and you're going to tour one of the national parks. It is a great program. It is a really, really great program. And it's abroad. It's 6 weeks of studying the African language, as we said. Mandatory orientation, 2 weeks in Kenya, 2 weeks in Dar es Salaam. Again, you're going to visit Zanzibar and learn about the coastal Swahili culture and Indian Ocean trade. What's the cost of the program? Right now, the cost is $5,900. That includes your airfare, living expenses, and all costs abroad. You can apply for the summer FLAS. However, here's what you need to understand. It does not include tuition for credit. So that's something that will be an additional cost. So think about this. You're going to receive a total of $5,000 for tuition and $2,500 for your stipend. So some of your stipend and some of your tuition, all of that can be used to cover this cost. But the tuition, the cost of the airfare is like $5,900, living expenses and all costs abroad. So it pretty much all of your $7,500 is going to come close to covering all of your hard costs, not all of it. I wish Dr. Mawaka was here. He could explain that more fully. So if you have a question about HUSA, if you have a question about that, contact Dr. Leonard Mawaka. He is in the Department of World Languages, or Esther Lasanza. These are their email addresses. This information, as I mentioned, will be available, and you need to contact them about the details of the program. You can also go to our website. There is more information on our website, Center for African Studies website, on this program. The Swahili GPA is different, okay? The Swahili GPA, it is an intensive African language program. It is a Fulbright Hayes Group program. That's what the GPA, Fulbright Hayes Group project abroad. It's coordinated by the language department and the center, and it's a national competition. There's mandatory orientation. It's 8 weeks consecutive, 8 weeks consecutive weeks. There's a homestay with the family, 5 to 6 hours intensive daily Swahili instruction, cultural activities and excursions, very similar to HUSA. You got to be a U.S. citizen. You got to have at least 3 to 4 semesters of Swahili. Okay, again, this is really for students already in taking Swahili. It is not a beginner's program. You have to have at least 3 to 4 semesters already, and you have to have a commitment to a career in African studies some way. There is the program cost includes international travel, overseas tuition, accommodations for food, program related travel, educational materials. And there is, so this includes this, all right? This is, let me just go back. These are costs included. You do not have to pay these, okay? That's what I want you to understand. It includes your travel, your tuition, your accommodations, your local travel, and education material. That's paid for. Again, it's a national competition. That's paid for. Here's what it does not include. There's a $1,000 fee, that's administrative fee, your local travel from your home to DC and the airport, your health insurance, your passport fees, immunization, and any travel you want to do on your own. You cannot use FLAS Fellowship to cover these costs. Okay, so $1,000 fee for administrative expenses, and then local travel to DC, travel from DC home, your health insurance, your passports, immunization, and anything you do on your own in the country in Africa. Okay, so let me just stop here. Let me just finish this. All right, quickly, any questions on either HUSA or the Swahili GPA? So the Swahili GPA is an advanced African language. The HUSA is for beginning, intermediary, and advanced. Okay, no questions? All right, let's go back and let's finish it up. So now let's talk about the Yoruba GPA. The only difference between the Swahili GPA and the Yoruba GPA is one, you're studying Yoruba, the other one, you're studying Swahili. In the Yoruba GPA, you're going to Nigeria, you're going on the west coast of Africa. And the Swahili GPA, you're going to east coast of Africa. That's the only difference. So you'll see the same things here. There is nothing different. Same thing. However, you do have to, you do have a, it's the same thing. You've got to be at least 2 semesters or 4 quarters. So again, this is for intermediate, mid-level students. This is not, oh, I'm just interested in, I haven't taken it. No, you won't qualify, okay? But it's basically the same. It's for intermediate or advanced level. Same thing. You cannot use FLAS for this. However, you contact Dr. Bayo Omolola, and that's where you get your additional information. So Swahili GPA, East Coast Africa, Yoruba GPA, West Coast Africa, and one is in Nigeria, the other one is in Kenya, I believe, or Tanzania. All right, let's go to, let's see, I think did we do all of them? The one that we did not talk about, let me go to, and I think we did not actually have information on the web. We didn't have information in the slide on that last program. Sorry. I'm trying to get to the very first slide where we talk about the program. Okay, what we did not talk about is the African University Summer African Language Institute. So this includes all of the African languages. It's here in Washington, D.C. It's most of the costs are going to be covered by your FLAS. In other words, $5,000 tuition cost, $2,500 stipend, you're going to be able to use that to cover just about all of the costs for that program. But it's a national program. It's a local program. You're not traveling abroad. The other 3, you're traveling abroad. That one in the middle, you're here. There are some interesting things about that I like. One, you have a language partner. So you will be assigned a person who is a native speaker of the particular language that you're going to be learning, and they're going to be your partner. So, and I think all of this is done basically virtually. So they're going to help you speak the language. They're going to call you at times. You're going to have conversations about the language. It's really, they are considered your conversation partner. It's really a pretty neat thing that they have set up. It's for all students, both national Howard students and those in other universities. So the, as I said, the three, the HUSA, the Swahili GPA, and the Yoruba GPA. These are study abroad programs, and the other one in the middle is a program here. Now, that doesn't mean you have to choose those programs. There are the other universities that have programs that you can use your FLAS for. However, we're not advertising them. So you can, you say, oh, I like this program. And if it's a qualified program, you can use your FLAS for. You will not be able to use your FLAS for any of the GPAs, but there are other programs. There are other foreign language programs that other universities have that you can use use your money for. There are other foreign programs. There are programs in, programs in Morocco, programs in across the African continent, that you might want to use because the programs we have in terms of studying abroad are Swahili and Yoruba. However, let's say you want to study Amharic. I know there are programs on the African continent that would qualify for you to get a FLAS to study Amharic. Let's say you want to study Wolof. There are programs in either Senegal and other places where you can study Wolof. Let's say you want to study Somalia. There are programs you can do that. If you want to study Arabic, lots of programs across the African continent. So what I want you to understand are these are the Howard University programs. However, there are other programs that you can use the FLAS funds to, in fact, fund to pay for the program. Any questions on on anything we've said? Yes, Kaylin.
So I was wondering, I know the FLAS deadline was pushed back, but is that the same for the rest of the travel study abroad applications too, or no?
I am not sure. I would go on the website. I wish the directors of the programs were here. Unfortunately, they had a meeting at the same time. I think all of those program deadlines are in February. I mean, so what you need to know that everything is coming up quickly. Okay, everything is going to be. I have a doubt that any of these programs are going to have any deadline extended beyond February because all of those decisions have to be made in February. The documentation has to be provided, funding has to be provided. So you should go online and you will see when those deadlines are. So I think most of them end in February somewhere, and unfortunately I don't have that information. I think what I will try to do is when I post this, I'll find the deadlines and put that right in the slide. As a matter of fact, if you hold on 1 second, let me just do a quick look, and actually I can tell you when the deadlines are. Okay. So the HUSA deadline is January 31st. So that might be extended. I don't know for sure. HUSA deadline is January 31st. Let's look at the other one. The Swahili deadline, January 31st. Swahili GPA, January 31st. Let's look at the Yoruba. Yoruba deadline, February 15th. So Yoruba was extended to February 15th. And let's see the last one, Summer Institute. That deadline is, I don't see that when that deadline is, but I suspect it's going to be, I think it's going to be in February. It could be earlier than that because it looks like they start in May. So that's the information I have. I just went online. So January 31st for the HUSA, for the Swahili GPA, February 15th for the Yoruba GPA, and I'm not sure about the African Summer Institute.
For the HUSA program, the FLAS doesn't cover tuition, but is the tuition what we would pay during the regular school year?
Yes, and now so the FLAS doesn't cover all of the tuition. It can cover some of the tuition. So here's what you got. You got to think of, you're going to get $7,500. Okay, so you can use that for tuition costs, for other costs. So even though it won't cover the tuition, you do have other money that you can apply for your tuition cost. So the total cost, I think normally was about $7,500, maybe $8,000. But again, unfortunately, Dr. Mwaka and Dr. Lisanza are going to have to answer that question. And I'm going to ask if I'm going to actually ask them to even consider to have an information session so that that's clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on any of the information presented? No other questions? All right, so if you have any questions about FLAS, those are questions that I can answer. Again, you have my my email address, wheeler.r.winstead, WHEELER.r.winstead. I would hope that you all consider applying for at least one of these programs. If you really want to understand Africa, it really is best understood when you can have the context of a language, an African language. Language bears culture, it bears history, and it really helps you to grasp the African culture, Africa, in a much more comprehensive way if you at least have some language competency. So if there are no more questions, I thank you all for coming. Spread the word. We will at least be advertising the deadlines for those of you who might forget what they are. Share with your friends, and hopefully you will be successful in receiving a FLAS fellowship. All right, that's it. Thank you very much, and hope to see some of those applications coming in.